Hold on to your butts.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Keep that shit coming. I like that a lot. Let's get it. Shake it like understand who I is. Not that many gon' do it like this. Bob your head, we can hear my shit, but I'm on my shit. I ain't has no chill. I'm who I are, I'm who I is. Sailor suit and I play the part. Fuck a fire, how you mesmerize. Black Austin pies, man, that I'm stupid. Then again, oh so clever.
It's over 9,000!
Welcome back to another episode of What is Going On? Episode TDG. I am your host, Sean, and we are here with another episode live. We're going to be talking about dating and relationships as usual for some education and also entertainment. And tonight we have two new special guests on the couch, along with a recurring special guest. Like I said, I'm Sean, your host, 41. I do this for my side gig, side work, and I do many other things, but also work for the government. And Brittany, go ahead and take it away.
My name is Brittany Renee. You can find me on the internet at Curly Locks LLC on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I make dreadlock extensions and sell them online. No, I do not take appointments. I am single and I'm 37 years old.
Awesome. Well, I am Valerie. I am 44. Had to think about that for a second. Um, and I work as a therapist. That's kind of an interesting factoid.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's about it.
Okay.
My name is Kara. I am 36 and I am currently engaged.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. And I am an account manager at Carrie.
Nice. All right. Well, since we all know the cast tonight, like I said, we got Brittany. Oh, geez, I'm down with names again. Valerie and Kara. We've been drinking a little bit. We're gonna do our best. But like, before we do this any way further, we're gonna jump into the first question. So we're gonna start pretty easy. What are the biggest misconceptions people have about dating in today's world?
I think I should have seen these questions beforehand.
Yeah, well, we're starting easy. They'll get harder.
Mm.
Maybe we should start with you. What do you think are the most
No,
common?
we're starting with you.
Well, I need more time to contemplate. That was a very
But yeah,
that was a very deep question. I feel
Is
like
it?
it needs to sit
right
with
off the
me.
bat, yeah.
Because now I have to figure out what I think.
Misconceptions people about in the dating world. Like for instance, Val, we were talking earlier briefly about first dates.
Mm.
And you were saying that on first dates, you'd love to be taken out for a dinner.
Yeah. No, okay. Okay. Well, that's a good one. Um, I've had conversations with a lot of different women
Mhm.
on this topic. Um, and it's interesting, I think, what the perspective is. I remember 20 years ago, one of my close girlfriends had tried to give me some advice, and she said, make sure that he never takes you out for a day date because that screams platonic.
Oh wow.
So it should be at nighttime. It should be a nice restaurant. Um,
How old was your friend that was
Interesting.
saying this?
she was a very wise, 25
Oh.
at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But she knew her stuff. I really did kind of trust her judgment. Um, but it's interesting because I personally have not really been in the dating world for probably a decade.
Yeah.
But in conversations with other women, I do hear of day dates.
Mm-hmm.
I hear of dates where there's brunch, where there's coffee, where there's hiking. So,
That came up last week.
interesting. So yeah, I think it really does vary.
I think the reason I have a hard time answering that is because I don't have expectations and also I don't date. So it's hard for me to even answer that.
I mean, you have to get your expectations off the floor first, So sounds like you're about to say
Sean,
something.
so expectations do kind of set you up for disappointment,
Mhm.
to a point.
Right.
But I do think you should hold expectations for yourself. Don't lower your standards
Mhm.
or what you feel you want or need, just to get that date.
Okay.
Because I feel like if you start down here,
Mhm.
maybe try to the other person. If you start down here, but then really expect this, when you start expecting this, it becomes a problem.
I'm trying to track with all this. It's okay.
Talk too much with my hands, but you know, just kind of it goes to mean what you say what you mean.
Mhm.
If you want the day date, say you
Mhm.
just want the day date, and I'm just trying to get to know you and see where this leads. Whereas, or do you want the night date where it feels more
Romantic.
exclusive and
Mhm.
romantic? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, but and I think sometimes men think women want all of these grand
You don't?
gestures. No,
Oh,
Hmm.
news to me.
no.
I do.
I wasn't wrong.
I think to me, it's the little things that mean the most.
I feel like
Funny.
you're looking for no, I feel like you're looking for answers like I think a man should spend a certain amount of money on me. He should take me to at least this amount of star
No, I'm not looking
hotel.
for anything at all.
Mm.
But what's funny though, Renee was sitting there last week
Hmm.
and she was saying almost the same exact things you were saying. They shouldn't expect a lot, which is refreshing to hear. I don't hear that a lot because I'm still out there dating myself. And a lot of times women won't come out and just say what they want, but you can tell what they want from their actions, their body language, and even if you get like a phone call or text back afterwards or anything, you can kind of tell that they were looking for more, they wanted more. I've been told that they
Mhm.
want more or expect more. Um, so it isn't just me just watching videos or thinking these things. I've experienced them. There was one thing I want to touch on with back to you though. Your friend that was 25 told you about the go on day dates.
Mhm.
Is she married now? What do you know what her status is?
We lost touch,
Okay.
so I'm not sure, but historically she had very long-term relationships. She was very invested
Mm-hmm.
in her partner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm not sure. But I will say, in terms of the evening date, right? Maybe a gentleman really
Mm-hmm.
kind of making it a nice occasion. I think the amount of time that you spend really getting to know a person before going on that first date might really kind of level set the expectations, right? So, with my husband now, we spoke for probably at least a week
Mm-hmm.
every day. I wasn't talking to anyone else. He wasn't talking
I
to
thought you
anyone
were going to say
else.
a much longer time. I'm like, how long do you have to be
We
talking
speak-
before you
No,
meet?
it was 2 weeks. I'm sorry. It was 2 weeks, but we spoke every day. It was lengthy um, dialogue back and forth. And so I felt like I had a pretty good sense
Mm-hmm.
of where we both stood, and what we wanted.
Yeah.
So it seemed appropriate to have, like a nicer date. But I know there's this element out there where people are just kind of dating multiple people.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of conversation or getting to know you before that first date takes place.
Dating for free meals, dating for experiences. So
I feel
It's a
like it's
thing,
pretty
right?
yeah,
easy
it
though to
is.
weed those women out if
I'm
you
sorry.
really want. I feel like it's really easy to weed those women out though.
Really.
Yes.
Enlighten us.
Well, based on looks is usually your first indicator, but then just having conversations with them. I mean just having conversations with us, you realize very quickly that we're not materialistic people.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we all of a sudden were like, you have to take me on a you'd be like, who are you? But like these women, you know who they are from the jump.
I mean, nowadays it can be easy to tell, but also it can be kind of difficult because just like men do, women are just as good at hiding their true intentions, or what they actually want. Because depending on whatever it is that they want, they know how to use their womanly wiles to get what they want from a man. and turn that switch on when they need to. So it's not always as simple as you may think it is. It isn't as easy as looking at a woman and say, "Oh, she's got a lot of makeup on. She doesn't like who she is, or she's trying to hide who she is, or she thinks she's somebody else, so she thinks she deserves something else." It isn't always that simple, that clear cut. So you have to get to know someone. You have to talk to them and figure out who they are. And I think that's why a lot of men nowadays, when it comes to a first date, if you're like online dating or you meet someone out in the wild, they say, "Well, let's meet for a coffee," because a low cost date, almost an effort date. I don't mean effort. It's low cost because you're actually getting to know the person. That's what the first date is supposed to be about: getting to know the person, not how much you're spending, not so much the venue. You're getting to know if there's going to be uh, a second date, basically, if there's that interest for a second date. So, because if it was that simple, there'd be a lot less single people out there, because a lot of times men will take out women for expensive dates to nice restaurants, or some guys will fly women out to wherever, and it doesn't go anywhere. So spending X amount of money does not equal, a second date.
I'd also prefer like a day date because those tend to be shorter. And have you ever like met somebody in person and you knew like immediately for seeing them, you're like, oh my gosh, no. And like now you've got to spend like 2, 3 hours with that person. But with like a day date, it's like, okay, let's meet for some coffee. Hi, how you doing? See if we like each other in person and then go from there.
Right.
Right.
And I think with the day date also, going off of time, I think there's kind of the unspoken thing, what's the word I'm looking for? Knowledge that you're going to have other things to do
Yeah, like
that
your
day.
day,
So
you
you
have
can
priorities.
say,
You have other things to do
Mm,
that day. So it's like, hey, we're having lunch. I got other things to do
time to
after this.
go.
Yeah, go back
yeah,
to work, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
good point.
Right. You can, cut it short
Hmm.
if you needed
Give you
to.
easy
Easier
excuse.
to,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
should say.
And that's why I feel it's a good idea to have like a coffee date or a little walk in the park, because there's an unsaid amount of time you can say you're going to allot to this first date. If you don't feel comfortable with the guy, if you just aren't vibing, why sit there for an hour, 2 hours eating with someone you don't want to be around?
If you don't feel
Exactly.
comfortable, the sun's still out. People can see you.
That's important too.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
And very,
Hmm.
very, yeah.
Like I've come across
100%.
women who say they don't accept coffee dates or walks in the park on a first date. They've literally said to me, I was like, "Well, you're the wrong person for me. I
But
know what you're
so
looking for."
why?
Mm.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
They think that you as a male spending money on them, it shows your level of interest when
Well,
it
there,
does.
that right there is where you find out what kind of person she is, and then it never even gets to the
Oh yeah,
first date.
that's simple when it did come
Exactly.
across that way, yeah. But there's ones that will hide it. But for the ones that do come across and say, "Well, I don't accept the coffee date or I don't accept the ice cream date as a first date," I'm like, "I don't know you." And if you're expecting me to spend 100, $200 on a first date for someone I just met, there's two things I usually think about. I can go find a homeless person, have a meal with them, and probably have a better time with them.
Probably a lot of fun.
And you're basically,
Station, I'm sure.
yeah, you're basically the same level as a homeless person. I don't know them. I don't know you. So why should I pay this much money for you? Or if I'm paying this much money for you, what am I getting in return? But we all know what.
Are you saying women aren't great conversationalists?
No, not at all. I'm not saying
Okay.
that. But yeah, they're not. I'm joking. But the thing is, if you spend that much money, a guy wants to get something in return. And a lot of times we all kind of know what a guy wants in return. And we also know that women aren't willing to give that up on the first date a lot of times. So why should a woman feel entitled to a date or a dinner date that costs $150 and you're not going to contribute when it comes to when the bill comes?
Hmm.
What makes you entitled to that free meal?
And maybe it speaks to what I was mentioning earlier, which is how much time
Hmm.
you've invested already in getting to know the person.
Hmm.
True.
I'm not obviously you don't know them a ton after a week or even 2 weeks,
Right.
but does it make a difference for you, Sean, if you've been talking to
You put him on
a
the couch right now?
woman for what's that?
You put him on the couch right now? You doing this thing?
Turning it around.
Would you like to lay down?
Yeah, I mean, does the amount of time, does the amount of effort that you've already spent without face kind of make a difference in the type of date that you might try to have with her?
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair.
So is that a yes?
It's a fair. I've had a lot of experience, especially when it comes to first dates, and I kind of figured out what it is I need to do, I need to look for. And like I said, I'm on level of coffee date or a drink date. And if we're gonna go out for eat, it's because I'm hungry, and I'm like, all right, I'll take some company. But I don't think anyone I'm just meeting for the first time is owed a dinner. I don't know you because a lot of times you're not gonna see him a second time. And I've also given this analogy or metaphor. Tell me something you have to buy is kind of expensive, or something you'd want to buy is expensive,
Something that I would want to buy.
or that you do. Something that anything that you buy regularly. Just name a product.
Just something that I buy regular laundry soap, eggs.
Something a little higher value.
Someone might say something like jewelry. I would never say that.
I mean, I don't buy myself jewelry.
Well, no, not jewelry. Silverware.
Sorry.
Like, but
Sorry.
see, I think that's a tough question for myself
Mhm.
because I'm not high maintenance.
Okay.
Those big tag items aren't important to me.
Okay.
Having that name brand purse, I could care less. I'll go to Gabe's,
Mhm.
and find me something there.
Mhm.
So
All right. Well, how about this? So you got your car. Is that electric or is it gas?
that's gas.
Gas. Okay. We'll
Catch
come
me
back to you.
electric.
Why not?
Mm.
What's wrong with electric?
Sorry, sir. Nope.
Oh wow.
You probably conspiracy theorist just like I am. Like,
No,
nope.
like I
Okay.
just need to know that I can get from point A to point B and I don't have to stop to charge it.
Okay.
So
We'll
it's
come
the
back to
being
that.
overly complicated and not knowing how the world works, and like now I have to figure out how to charge my car kind of thing.
Probably.
Okay, yeah,
Probably.
yeah,
Something
gotcha.
like
Yeah.
It's not equal, but
that.
Valerie, how about you? What's something that you might buy somewhat often, might have a decent value?
I mean, getting my hair done,
Okay.
you
How much does that
know,
cost?
about $300 a tip
Every
every 7 to 8 weeks.
Okay. All right. But typically when you get your hair done, you pay for it afterwards, after the hair's completed, right? Or you pay.
Sure.
Okay. How about something you pay for in advance before you can leave with with said product?
Uh,
so it'd have to be a product. Can it be an experience?
Sure.
That's right. I would.
well, it's gonna. Gosh. Um, I'm
Mhm.
showing my age here. My supplements, right?
Okay.
I mean, I spend a lot on like my health.
Okay.
Don't be
Um,
ashamed. Health is wealth, girlfriend.
Yeah.
what's that?
Health is wealth.
No, thank you.
Maybe you really want a
So
fancy tonal thing, or I don't know. That's a That's a thing.
That's what Candace has.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got supplements, and we're gonna use gasoline for you.
okay,
Okay.
fair,
All right.
fair.
Crystals. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Well, your hair stuff, your lock stuff.
It's still nothing costs money.
What's that?
Nothing costs money, like that much money.
Okay, but we'll just use your lock stuff. It's fine. The point I'm getting at
Mhm.
is
The
if you are
question.
if you're going to a store or a shop or whatever it is, expecting to get gasoline and supplements and
Oh, you mean like because my locks are high value? Going to a store to okay, no,
sure,
okay.
um, and you tender your money to the store clerk, and they just turn around and tell you like, I don't feel like selling it to you anymore. How would you make that? How would that make you feel?
Hmm. Pretty perturbed and irritated,
Right? Yeah.
to say the least.
Disappointed.
Yeah, I think so. Brittany?
I'd
I mean, you
say.
order your lock stuff or your hair from some company, I assume, right? You have to pay.
Okay, if they were to tell me that, oh, sorry, I would be,
You're like, we didn't send it.
I would be murderous.
Nice.
I would be murderous.
Yeah. So my point that I'm getting at is if a man goes out on a date and spends X amount of money on the date and nothing comes of it, and I'm not even talking sex, I'm talking about a hug or a kiss or I had a great time or you might have held onto his arm, just something like that, and there's no second date, then why should a man keep doing the same thing? Keep on stubbing his toe essentially on these first dates, spending, $100, $200, $300, because as we just all, agreed upon,
Well, I have a response.
let's hear it.
I think we as women spend a lot of money getting ready for that date,
That's
Mm-mm.
right.
right?
That's been debunked, but go ahead.
Excuse
It has.
I mean,
Please go.
maybe not all
I'll come back to
women.
it.
Maybe not all women, but
Mhm.
sometimes there's some waxing, sometimes there's some nails,
me.
sometimes
Hair.
it's a new outfit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just saying.
Typically, those are things that you're going to do anyways at some course of in a week or a month. So you can't contribute that to the date specifically.
Well, what if you're just investing in a really lovely night out with wonderful conversation with a beautiful lady?
And I kind of feel like it's a double standard because how many times do they tell women you have to kiss so many frogs to get your prince? Well, how many dinner dates do you have to pay for before you get your princess?
If there was a value, like a dollar value that I would see in the sky, then I might be more willing to do
Okay,
that.
fine, but we don't know how many toads we have to kiss.
Okay. How much is that costing you kissing some toads?
Well,
For dignity. No, I'm sorry.
No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know. But as based I'm getting at is, I think that people should come to the dating table as equals. And it shouldn't be, oh, I'm a woman, I deserve this, or a man, I deserve this. Just come as equals and see where things go from there.
Agreed.
That's what I'm getting at.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I think that's a fair point. I think people
Yeah.
need to be more selective
Hmm.
about who they choose to go on a date with. Maybe spend a little bit of time.
Right.
Because going back to what you said, a lot of women do it for a free meal,
Hmm.
Mm,
the experience,
Right.
I've never done those
or what
things.
have you.
yeah.
So
Kara, have you ever done those things?
I have not. I have
Valerie,
not.
have you ever done those things?
No.
Okay.
But it does happen, and that's gonna, no pun intended, leave a bad taste in the guy's mouth.
Mm-mm.
It's gonna make him not want to do it again
Right.
for someone that could be his wife. You don't know that, but they're hesitant because they've been burned
Hmm.
by the women that don't have good intentions.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this makes me think of a question. I'm not trying to hijack your show,
No, let's hear it.
but it's I know someone. She's mentioned this to me, and it's I've marinated on it. So she has mentioned to me about how sometimes she will start to pull out her credit card
Okay.
on a date
Hmm.
as if to offer.
Oh, so she's doing the little fakeroo.
Not so much the fakeroo. Honestly, I think maybe it's an indication that
Hmm.
she's probably not too interested in seeing the guy again,
And that's fair.
or maybe she's just trying to
I've thought
I
about
don't
this.
know. What's that?
I've thought about this. I think as a woman, if you're
Right.
not feeling the first date, you're not feeling the guy,
Yeah.
then as your friends sort of do, pull out your card or pay out your cash and pay for your half of the meal.
Right.
If you do like him, but you also want to show him that you want to have a second date and everything's going great, hey, can I take care of the tip? And a good guy is going to say, no, I've got this. And you kind of know that.
How are
that
we supposed to know all this? I need to write this down.
well, but I think if you have no intention of seeing the guy again, pay for your bill, and then just go your separate ways.
So
Yeah.
do you think a man should take it as a sign that she doesn't want to see him again if she does pay half?
I think that would be a good way to go forward. Do I think it's going to happen? No.
Because
It's gonna be
I
a
feel
clear
like I
sign.
usually offer to pay half, and I wouldn't feel any kind of way if he took me up on it either.
Right, but I'm saying if we're talking about signs, and a lot of times talk about choosing signals as well, if we're saying if a woman is going to not want to see the gentleman a second time,
Uh-huh.
then she should pay for her half of the meal. But if she's feeling him,
Okay, you think morally, got it.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a moral
morally,
thing.
yeah,
Okay.
like I said, it's not going to come into practice. But if she's feeling him, then she can offer to pay for the tip, and then he can then decline or accept. But he's most likely going to decline. A lot of times, if a guy's
If
sitting
he's
there,
a gentleman
yeah,
on a date,
exactly. Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way to go about things, but I don't have hope that that's going to start happening anytime soon. So,
I think you're right.
Is that a and I don't want to put people into a box here, or make a blanket statement, but do you feel like that's an expectation that a lot of guys have that, oh, she should try to pull out her card?
Question.
Are you looking for that at the end of the date? Is that something
Mhm.
like you're looking for?
I do like to see that, um, in the sense where it shows me she's engaged to a certain extent. Um, 'Cause I've come across a lot of women as well that they'll just sit there.
But how far
Waiting.
does the fake out go with you? Like if she pulls it out, like how far are you letting her get with the credit card? You're
Not so
like,
much of a game. I mean, typically when the waiter comes, they'll either put the check in the middle or just give it to the man, which is customary.
Mhm.
And I usually go with my wallet unless we're in the middle of a conversation bit, and I'll see what kind of happens then. But I'm not testing her to see what happens. Just whenever I get around to it, and if I see her start going for her purse, then I'll just go with my wall and say it's okay, I've got it. Because
I'm sorry.
okay,
Finish, please.
yeah, if I were to see her going for her purse, then I'm like, no, it's fine, I've got this. It's on me. I invited you out. It's my treat.
Mm.
So it's just certain things you can do and certain signs you look for. But it's not a test though. I think the test is, if any test that's there. It's just to see how things play out.
Mhm.
So
Because I feel like it could definitely go, it could be looked at two different ways. If a woman offers to pay even half,
Mhm.
it could be like she's not interested and she's like, I ain't letting this man pay for my meal. I can pay for my own meal, and he's not paying for my meal, so he can what say that he paid for my dinner? No, ain't no man gonna say he paid for my dinner because I didn't want to, kind of sort of thing.
Mhm.
Or she could not offer to pay for it because she's not interested,
Mhm.
and she's like, the least I'm gonna get is this meal tonight. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I feel like it depends on how bad the date is. Like if it's really bad, I might be like, you know what? I'm about to get as much as I can.
Yes,
But like if he's morally corrupt, then I'm going to be morally corrupt.
yes,
So how do you know if he's morally corrupt? Like what signs are
There
you
would
looking
have to be
for?
a lot. Like I'm not going to just like do it. It's going to have to be blatant, and I don't know at this moment.
Okay. All right. Fair.
right. Based off how the conversation went.
The other or that I would be concerned about is that it might set this precedent of saying, "Oh, I'm pulling out my card because one, I'm so used to going on dates with guys that are cheap or broke that I feel like I need to do this." And maybe it's getting too, in the head about it, but it's almost like a worry as a female, like
Very true.
if I'm offering, then I am setting this precedent that I'm always going to go Dutch.
Expectation,
I
yeah.
had never dated a broke person before, and one
Mhm.
time, like it was a first date too. Like I just met this person. We went to a GameStop or something, and as we were
I
in
can't
line,
imagine where
he
you're
got
going.
behind me and wrapped his arms around me, and I'm like, and that's when I realized like I was supposed to get my wallet out and pay for his games, and I had never understood like that pose before. Like
Shouldn't not have done this.
That girl with the money.
Exactly.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
So did you pay? Did you
I
put in the
did.
pocket?
I did.
It worked.
Like,
I felt like I had to. I
going
didn't want to
for
make
it.
things awkward.
Really?
Right, right.
Who
Yeah.
wants to go GameStop after this?
And speaking of, not to like change the trajectory here, but men also know what they're doing
Do we?
sometimes with stuff like that. Yeah, like he knew what he was trying to get after.
He knew how to get the
How
money.
to
He's like, I've done
manipulate.
this pose
Yep.
before. It works every time. And he did it and it worked again.
Mhm.
Well,
I'll be right back.
So it totally goes both ways.
yeah,
100%.
I can see that. Yeah. There's certain things that each gender can do to kind of finesse their way in to get what they want.
And then, like she said, the woman might offer her credit card because that's what she's used to.
Hmm.
She's not used to having a gentleman treat her to dinner.
Right.
So it's only natural for her to pull her credit card out and pay for her half. But don't do that too much.
Yeah.
Girlfriend, don't pull your
No.
credit card out too much.
Yeah, I wonder if
Let him treat you.
Hmm.
sorry to
No,
interrupt
no,
you.
no, no, no.
Yeah, I'm wondering if in some way it could send a negative message or the wrong message
Mhm.
to a guy, right? That, oh, she's
Too
I
independent.
can kind of take advantage here,
That,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Or she's not used to a guy treating her the right way. And that said, maybe it depends on the guy, right? In my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? If I'm going on a date with this guy, I really like him,
Hmm.
but now he's actually accepted for me to pay half.
Mm,
I don't think I want to go on a date with him again,
right.
right? And
Especially if you think it's going well.
yeah, and then I'm like, seems like he might be kind of cheap, or
Mhm.
he's keeping score,
Okay.
and that's a turn
Mm,
off.
So it's an ick.
100%.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I think we've kind of beat this question to death. We kind of went off topic a little bit, but it's fine. So let's see here. How do social media and dating apps help or hurt modern relationships?
Mm.
There's
You
some
want to start,
faces
Sean?
here.
I mean, I feel
I'm
like it helps because I mean, this modern world, people don't go out and meet people organically like they used to. So how else are we going to meet people?
I think it's both. Quick raise up the hands. Who has iPhones? Who has Androids? Who has iPhones here? Two
iPhone.
iPhones? An Android?
Android personal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What, an iPhone for work?
Yeah.
They're giving out phones now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't want
Fancy.
it.
So what I'm getting at is I think that we're now in the digital age. A lot of people are dating, online. They're going to these dating apps to meet people. They're not necessarily meeting people out in the open, which is fine. It's where it's kind of transitioned to. But I think that a lot of people who have iPhones, if you're not going to be faithful with your problems being faithful, do not own Apple devices
Yes.
because
Agreed.
they're synced up and you're going to slip up
Yep.
and your partner's going to find out what you're doing.
I'm going to be on your tablet at your house while you're off with your mistress.
Mhm.
And yep,
Yeah.
it happened.
I just don't think if you're not someone who can be faithful, do not have an iPhone or any Apple products. Now, I'm not saying that Androids don't sync, but you have to do a lot more to get them synced up together. And I'm not saying that if you're a cheater, get an Android. I'm just saying that these are the realities of a dating.
If you're a cheater, this is what you
You said stories here about people getting caught out cheating. First of all, everyone's life for the most part is in their phones. Back before those phones, if you want to find if your man was cheating, you go into his wallet and see if there's any numbers in his wallet. Now you go into someone's phones; their whole life is in their phone. So that's another thing. If you're gonna cheat, like you got to know that the first place someone's gonna look is your phone. I'm not giving advice how to get away from
I mean,
cheating.
that's what it feels. That's what it. This,
It's not. I'm
that's what
just
it feels
saying
like.
because of the question, and the question was, how does social media and dating apps help or hurt modern relationships?
Well, I feel
So
like
we use them to meet people, but then people use the.
having iPhones helps though, because then it helps partners of cheating partners find out that their partners are cheating. So it's good, right?
I mean,
So
Yes. Yes. Very good. Because don't waste my time. If you don't,
I only date iPhone users because I
if you
can
don't
find
love
out if
me,
they're
tell me.
cheating.
mhm,
If you're interested in somebody else, tell me because you're wasting my time and yours and hers
mhm.
or his.
Like I see a lot of people. They say, share your
And
location with me, or let me see you on FaceTime. Let me see where you're at. Spin around the room. Let me see who's in the room with you.
and if you feel like you got to do all that, mm-mm,
Right.
Exactly.
it's not worth it. But so the dating aspect of social media apps, this, that, and the third, I think it's great. It definitely opens up another opportunity. It's the modern version of putting out the newspaper ad.
Right.
You're marketing yourself out there on these dating apps.
Well, sorry, I got to pause for a second. I don't think some of our viewers going to know what you're talking about when you say putting out a newspaper ad. So can you clarify that a little, please?
Are you kidding me?
I'm being serious. These young bucks, they don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, back in the day, it was literally a newspaper ad. Single, female, 36,
I was gonna say mention Craigslist, but they probably don't remember that either.
Yeah.
looking for companionship, looking for friendship, looking for a long-term relationship, or call me.
Yeah. There was a thing called personals ads where you'd go to a section, the personals. You look for people who are looking for love. And I think it was like 4 lines, something like that. So you'd fit everything you wanted to know within 4 lines. And you left your phone number, I think, on there too. Or maybe
You
you're.
didn't know it was 4 lines. How do you know
I'm
that?
just guessing.
Okay.
But I'm sorry to interrupt. But I thought that we need to, make sure people know about that.
It's okay. So it's definitely helpful, but also harmful. It helps people connect way easier,
Mhm.
versus strolling down the road and going to the coffee shop and seeing who you see and trying to strike up conversation. And I do think it's easier to strike up conversation over a text message versus face to face, especially nowadays.
Right.
But because everything is so accessible and so in your hand right now,
Mhm.
um,
It also just feels less
It's-
personal and less. I might as well be
it's-
talking to
it's-
a bot.
yeah.
Like,
but it is easier to cheat. It's easier to hide it. It's easier to cover it up. You can hide your location. You can erase your messages. You have your passwords on your phone. You ask your partner for your passwords on the phone, and it's always an issue. Well, why?
Mhm. Yeah.
So it really opens up this Pandora's box of issues in a bad way.
Mhm.
But there's lots of good to be had.
Now, should we trust people who put their phones down, like in front of you, like when you say you're on a date or whatever, or just around them in general, and they put their phone face down? Should we trust them? that be a red flag of some sort? Maybe a pink
I
flag?
want to be the only one talking, but
I mean, flipping it
I
over.
do it
mhm,
too, though. Like,
basically.
even when I'm at
do it
my
too, but
house,
it kind of
What are you
depends.
hiding?
I'm not hiding.
I do
It's
it when
Are you
I'm
sure?
alone.
absolutely, it's a sign of respect
Is it?
because I'm not paying attention to this. I'm paying attention to you.
But can it just be up
Mm.
and still not pay attention to it though?
Yeah, but if it's sitting there up, what if it lights up?
Don't look at
My gaze is off to you. Natural.
I'm alone. So,
So
do you normally just have your phone
it. Leave
sitting
it
up?
up.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
it's
Look, I
natural
want
for
to
Do
take
you
it
you,
to
from
put
a,
it
Bella?
I'm
up.
not
Is
concerned
your
with.
phone normally up, or is it down? Like when you're
I
home
normally
alone.
just like flip it down, just
Cheater.
just
Stop. So
just because of my, like Kara said, the distractibility factor. So
Yeah.
if I'm really trying to engage in a conversation with someone and I know I get emails, I get all these notifications, it is unfortunately, my own ADHD
Okay.
where I'm like, I need to like flip because I'm gonna get distracted.
One. So you're the
With restraint.
sociopath.
So,
Got it.
question to you:
Yes.
Would you find it odd to know that your partner, when they're away from you, would you find it odd that the ringer is on, but when they come home,
Little.
it goes on vibrate or silent?
Yeah, it'd be a little weird for
Mm,
me.
Mine's always on vibrate.
Mine's always
Same.
on. I got nothing to hide.
Hmm.
That's my
Different
thing.
if it's
Yeah.
always on vibrate, but
Yeah, but if you're out in the open, it's on.
out,
Mm-hmm.
if they're out without you,
Mm-hmm.
the ringer is on.
Right.
Okay, true.
But when they come
Gotcha.
home, it goes on vibrate or silent. Do you guys find that
Now, for something like bedtime,
strange?
sure. But if you're awake, that's a little strange, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I want to respond to your question though.
Mhm.
It was funny. A couple months ago, I saw on a friend's Facebook, she had actually posted about how, you know, like 40, 50 years ago, how people typically met
Mhm.
versus today. And it was just really fascinating because it said, 40, 50 years ago, it showed the percentages. I think most people met through church. And then after that, it was through friends and family. And it kind of, went down. And then the flip side with, more modern times now is dating apps really leading the way. And then after that was like bars. Right. And so it just made me kind of like really think about, I mean, without any real kind of like judgment or opinion here, just was there some benefit to the old way?
Like the organic way of
Yeah, I mean, I was really kind of processing that and thinking, okay, what are the potential benefits to the way things used to be 40, 50 years ago? If you're a person of faith,
Yeah.
right? You know that, all right, this person's values align with my own,
Mhm.
right? Family and friends, all right, they've been kind of vetted a little bit
Right.
true.
through,
Mhm.
mutual, you know,
Yep.
these kind of mutual connections. So I don't know. It made me think that there might be some benefit to the way things used to be.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I start thinking though, like the only time I go out in public is to like the grocery store, and if somebody came up and tried to talk to me at the grocery store, I'd probably be like,
That does happen. It happens more often nowadays because typically it's not really the way people meet anymore. They
"It's
think
we're
it's
not
weird.
used to it." So when somebody does it, it's like, "Ew, what's
Mhm.
wrong with you? Do you do this to everyone?"
Do you think that this modern way makes us kind of be a little bit more transactional or look more at
Yes.
quantity versus quality?
Yes.
Well, for certain.
Great question.
Thank you.
But yes, I do agree with that. Yeah.
I agree as well.
It's more quality, yeah. Or quantity over quality.
Very reasonable people here all the time. I need someone who's a bit more ratchet here.
Oh, someone to fit your ideal, fit your echo chamber,
I'm sorry?
to fit your echo chamber.
No, not really. Not really. I'm not looking to fit anything. We're just having a conversation and people are watching.
Mhm.
By the way, if you guys are watching, if you guys can hit the subscribe button, please do. Also hit that like button as well. Helps with the channel a lot.
Also,
So
if anybody's in Frederick, Maryland, and wants to be on the podcast with me, let me know. Any ladies?
thanks.
There's more ladies.
um, yeah, so we'll move on to the next question. Before we get to the last two questions of the night. How do men and women differ in how they express love and affection?
Ooh, good question.
Well, since it's such a good question, go ahead. How about you start us off?
No. I feel like I've talked too
I
much
don't feel
and
like it's a man-woman thing. I think
Mm.
it's a love languages thing.
Oh, no, it's just
Yeah.
ask. No, well, that's too simple of an answer because everyone's talking about love languages now and talking about those 4 different types. I mean, everyone likes to be touched. Everyone likes,
are
what
you
is it?
sure?
You don't like to be touched?
I mean,
Thought so. Words of affirmation. What's the other one? Gifts and
acts of
Acts of
service.
service.
yeah, acts of service. Who doesn't like those things?
Right.
I think if anything, you're probably going to put them in level of importance. To you. But as far as expressing your affection towards someone, for me personally, when I'm with someone, I like to be spontaneous and do things spontaneously. I don't like being a schedule. If I know she likes flowers, I'm not gonna get her flowers every Friday. I'm not gonna get her flowers on every single holiday. The important ones, yeah. Or maybe just, I come home, I feel, I pass by a store, I see flowers. I was thinking of you, got you flowers.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Well done.
thank you.
And that's a love languages thing, but
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. So keeping a level of spontaneity helps keep the relationship fresh, um,
100%.
and keeps it off of life support.
Yes.
And also as far as showing that you care about them, doing nice things as well. It might be a massage. Might tell them like, you look great today when they're not feeling their best. A little bit of lying helps too. You're looking awfully healthy and thin today. But I'm just joking. Um, those are things you can do to show that you appreciate and care for the person that you're with. So
Because it's just simply boosting their spirit if you know that they're down.
exactly.
If you know a simple compliment like that is going to help them, say it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Say it.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's it going to hurt? You know what I mean? It's only gonna make things better.
So we have a comment
Mm-hmm.
from Sparta HQ Network. Dating is too monetized today for it to matter. I don't know what they were talking about. I mean, we were talking about something, but I don't know what it goes with. But you'll have to keep us a little more up to date on that one, that stuff, King, when it comes in, if you could. Um, but yeah, I'm sorry. Going back to how we show love and affection to the people that we care about. So, Kara, how do you show love and affection to your fiance?
Two totally different love languages. His are like gifts.
Okay.
He likes gifts. Whereas, I'm way simpler than that.
Do you need a minute? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. We can come back to you if you like. Okay, we'll come back to you.
But again, like building on that, I feel like how you show affection is learning your partner's love language and then learning, like if that's so far from your love language, then you learn how to express it that way so that you can show it the way that they know how to receive it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Just
I
came
love.
up with it.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm a quality time girl,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
I mean, if I like you,
Hmm.
then you have my time,
Okay.
And I like
right?
somebody who we can both be doing different things, but in the same vicinity. Like we don't necessarily have to be talking or even touching or like interacting.
Yeah.
I just like being around them.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I hear you. I mean, I think they're all important, right? And it's interesting because I think sometimes we kind of observe different things from our parents growing up,
Right.
right? But typically, acts of service, right? That's typically a very masculine kind of love language. We hear that a lot. I think words of affirmation is thought to be very feminine.
Could be.
Um,
Um, And I think even for men, men do like words of affirmation, just to let us know that, the things we're doing is being appreciated,
That
and
you actually
also,
see it, yeah.
yeah, let
Yeah.
us know that you guys think that we're superheroes in your eyes, not, you know, figuratively speaking, that, oh my God, you did that. That was so great. That was so amazing. Oh, you are the best man. I'm just so lucky to have you,
Hmm.
things like that. A guy knows that you're just kind of placating him, but he appreciates it. Everyone likes to know they're being appreciated.
Especially because I think men feel like they have to be the providers. They feel like the whole family, so to speak, is kind of on their shoulders. And if things were to happen, it's up to them to pick up the pieces and make sure everybody has what they need.
Right.
So I do think it's very important to let the man of the house,
Hmm.
for lack of a better word, know that, his hard work, his thoughtfulness, and his commitment is appreciated. And it does mean something. Because sometimes it's just those little bitty words that keeps people going.
Exactly.
Sure.
That's like the easiest love language. I just had to spend 3 seconds thinking up this thing and saying it, and now they're happy.
Yeah,
What?
exactly. Didn't cost you anything.
I'm it's the smallest things that mean the most.
Hmm.
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 And it's true.
Let me ask you, Sean. I mean, were you thinking something when you asked that question, when you came up with this question? I mean, it's very like men this or women this. I mean, it's.
Not really. I mean, I want to know what you think on your side of the aisle, being a woman,
Hmm.
as far as how you show affection or love to your partner, because it could be different, as we're kind of finding out. I think if I'm speaking for men, I think words of affirmation can be very big for men. A lot of men, whether you guys think about it or realize it, a lot of men nowadays, we don't get a lot of, hey, you did a great job, or I really appreciate you, or where would I be without you type of stuff, because a lot of times people take it for granted or think that you're supposed to do these things because you're a man. You're supposed to be the rock,
Hmm.
the foundation. But just to get that appreciation, a lot of times, because growing up, you don't get a lot of appreciation as a boy or as a man, because if you fall and you scrape your leg, oh, suck it up, don't cry. Boys don't cry. We don't get to experience or go live through a lot of our feelings, growing up as men a lot of times. At least, I mean, I didn't, and I'm fine, and I'm dead inside, but it's also cool.
Yeah, he's
But at least when someone tells you, "Hey, you did a really great job," or "I really appreciate what you did," like that lives with us for a
Yeah,
while.
it does.
Like I don't know if you guys know, but like I'd be going to bed like told me that they appreciated what I did for them. Huh, I can sleep a lot better tonight.
Is a testament to show that you really never know the impact of the words that you have on
Hmm.
somebody.
Exactly. Yeah.
Say the kind thing.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Tell them how much you appreciate